and I have been rescuing them for probably about 40 years on the peninsula, or 35 years on the peninsula. And you know, the reason I do it is because well, when I started doing it, there wasn't very many people doing it, and people were just killing them all the time. So I had to do something, because I didn't like to see people killing them. And you know, people kill them because well, obviously they're poison, they're venomous, so and they do kill people, but they're very gentle, generally speaking. But the reason they kill them, I think, is because the media loves a good snake story. And just recently we had one saying there's an invasion of snakes up in Queensland, which is absolute rubbish. If anything, there's less snakes now than there ever used to be. And there goes my telephone. Okay, that can go away. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, the media, obviously the Bible is another reason that many people hate snakes. And yeah, and it's the reason why we have so many myths and misconceptions about them. Myths and misconceptions. Okay, well, you've probably heard a lot of these. You know, I go out to snake halls, and there will be a bowl of milk in the backyard waiting for the snake to come out, and there will be a Joe Sixpack there with a shovel waiting to get to the snake before, when he sticks his head out from under the deck or under the house. It's a myth. They're not attracted to milk. Another myth: blue tongues will discourage snakes. It's not true. It's not true. I quite often find blue tongues and snakes together. You'll see that later on in the presentation. And if a snake's head is cut off, it will survive until sunset. Well, I'll go into that in more detail at a later date too, because it's a myth, but it's also it's quite horrible actually. When you cut a snake in half, it can live for a couple of days. Snakes are cold and slimy. Well, they're not. On a nice day, they're warm and they're not slimy. They're very dry. Another myth: snakes will chase you. Well, they don't chase you. What happens? They bluff you, and they make you run. And once you're running, they turn around and go the other way. You'll be running, quarter of a mile later, you'll get to the pub, or you'll get to your Facebook and you'll say, "Oh, a snake chased me for a quarter of a mile," but it's rubbish. As soon as they see you turn around, they go the opposite direction. And another myth is snakes are deaf. Well, they are deaf. They're deaf to airborne noises, but they have got an inner ear, and they can sort of make, you know, they can sort of, well, it's still up in the air actually about how much they can hear, I think. Okay, so they've got a bad name. Well, my job at the moment, I'm here to try to put people's mind at ease and try to decrease the fear, and hopefully show people how to learn to live with snakes, because they are an important part of the environment. This is really strange doing a Zoom talk, because I can't see any faces and I can't hear anybody giggling, and it just means that I'm not funny enough. Anyway, yeah. So yes, this is very different. So they are venomous. About like most of Australia's snakes are venomous, and they all do have different personalities. But if anybody's out there who's watched my videos or followed my stuff, they would see that I can usually bring out the best in the snake. You know, they're not all out to get us. They don't want to bite us. We're not on their menu, so they've got no reason to want to bite us. And the only reason they will bite us is if we hurt them or if we really scare them. Now, I've got to talk to you about the snakes that we have in the Mornington Peninsula, on the Mornington Peninsula. Around Frankston, we don't have eastern brown snakes, but we do have copperheads and tiger snakes. And on the Mornington Peninsula, we have a tiny little population of eastern brown snakes, which is really based around the Moona Links golf course. Eastern brown snake is the most dangerous snake in Australia, simply because it lives close to humans, and humans attract rats and mice. And wherever there's people, there's rats and mice. And the eastern brown snake is a warm-blooded. Their diet consists mostly of warm-blooded animals, which is rodents. Tiger snakes and copperheads live around here as well, but and red-belly black snakes as well. So the red-belly black snakes and copperheads are more of a reptile, frog-eating sort of snake.
You're pretty good, Chris.
Oh, I can hear people talking. Okay. Well, that's good. And the eastern brown snake, like I said, yeah, most dangerous snake in Australia. Tiger snake, most dangerous snake in Victoria, probably, after the eastern brown. And the black snake, which we get here, and the copperhead, they're dangerous, but they've never killed anybody. There's no record of them killing anybody. And I really need a glass of water. That's a bit daggy. I need to go and get a drink of water, but I should have brought a jug here. If you see a snake on your property, this is what they're doing. Generally speaking, they're just passing through. They don't want to hang around on your property. They don't want to see your dogs or your horses or your cats. They just want to pass through. And if they get on the scent of a rat or a mouse, they will obviously want to smash that as well. And if you see a snake in a position like this is an eastern brown snake. This is a snake telling you to go away. Eastern brown snakes on the Mornington Peninsula, I might catch maybe 3 or 4 a year, and they're all around Fingal and Moona Links golf course. That's because the eastern brown snake is the only snake that we have here that lays eggs, and it needs that superheated soil, that sandy soil, and the rocks, and it just it needs that for the incubation of the eggs. Karen, yes. So eastern brown snake, that's one from the Mornington Peninsula. And if you see a snake that has stripes, it's not necessarily a tiger snake. You can easily mistake snakes by trying to identify them by using just color. So if you can see this snake here, you can see that's obviously to me that's an eastern brown snake, but to anybody else they might say that's a tiger snake because he has stripes. And eastern brown snakes aren't only brown; they can come in all different flavors. Here we've got black one. All these snakes here are eastern brown snakes. Now, if I was to put up this slide here, what would you say these snakes are? Well, that is the most common snake on the Mornington Peninsula. That's the tiger snake, and that's all the different colors that we have of the tiger snake. Well, actually, it's not all of them, but the tiger snakes come in all the colors of the rainbow. They've got all these different stripes. All they can be unbanded, banded, black, and brown, and yeah. And if you see a tiger snake looking at you sideways like this, you got to walk back, and you got to walk back slowly and just keep an eye on it. And the minute the snake sees your silhouette decreasing, the snake will settle down and he'll relax. And when you walk towards him, this is what he's going to look like. He's going to flatten himself out to try to make himself look big and to intimidate you. And that's when you really need to start thinking what your next move is going to be. Because if that snake's cornered, he will lunge at you to try to get you to move away. He might even bite you if he gets close enough. So you got to be very careful when you see them like this, because this is this is a scared snake. Okay, and when snakes are scared, they are dangerous. Tiger snakes are, like I said before, they're live-bearing snakes. They're, they can have up to 24, 25 babies, and most of those babies are going to get eaten by birds, because birds are the main predator of snakes, and baby snakes. Out of 25 baby snakes, you might only get maybe 2 that would survive to adulthood. So snakes are the perfect meal for birds. They slurp them up like spaghetti. And yeah. And the tiger snake is also the one. Every day I talk to somebody who says, oh, the tiger snake chased me. And like I was saying before, they don't chase. They try to bluff you. And if they can see cover behind you, if they can see like a dark area of grass behind you, they're going to come at you and try to get past you to go to that dark area. So quite often people think they're being chased by the snake, but it's only the snake just trying to hide from them. And yeah. Oh yeah, so yeah, they puff up, they lunge a few times, but they will always, if you give them an avenue of escape, they will always take that avenue of escape. I'm probably talking too fast, but anyway, there's the breaks. This is the way I talk. Okay, the next most common snake we have on the Mornington Peninsula is the copperhead. This is the copperhead. They come in all the colours of the rainbow too. 100 years ago, they used to be called the superb snake. But for some reason, we've taken the American word name copperhead. This is a red-phased copperhead. You can get them in black, and you can get them in black and tan, and all these different colors. Wherever you find low-lying wet areas, you probably find copperheads and tiger snakes. They tend to live together. But the copperhead, like I said before, is a reptile eater, and there are many, many photos and videos of the copperhead eating tiger snakes. Copperheads have never killed anybody. If you see a brown-colored snake and you live in the Frankston area, you know you're looking at a friend. Okay, then, like I said, they've never killed anybody, and they eat tiger snakes, and they love the water. So wet areas, they're attracted to water features. So if you've got fish ponds or if you've got a dam, it's almost certain that you've been visited by a copperhead if you live in the Frankston area. And here we are, a little bit of evidence of the copperhead eating a tiger snake. So yeah, they specialize in eating snakes, same as the red-bellied black snake. They both love to eat tiger snakes, and they'll even eat each other. Actually, they're not fussy. I'm sure quite a few mating things have been have ended up in cannibalism. Can I have a glass of water? Yeah. So and also, if you see 2 snakes doing this, you quite often people send me these photos of snakes, and they say, "Oh, I found 2 snakes mating in my backyard." This is not snakes mating. This is 2 male snakes. And when you're taking that photo of those 2 male snakes fighting, there is a female that they're fighting over. Okay, so the female will be well, not too far away. So you got to watch where you're walking. If you're taking a photo of that and you walk backwards, you could potentially step on the female snake. So you got to be very careful. Copperheads are very gentle and disinclined to bite, so you don't have to worry too much about the copperhead. They are your friend. And also the red-bellied black snake is the other one that we find around Skye, Langwarrin, Frankston. I've actually caught red-bellied black snakes in Foot Street in Frankston. And yeah, they are notorious for hitchhiking, but yeah, they are a beautiful snake if you can see the beauty like I can. Lots of people can't. Every time they see a snake, they go, I hate them. But red-bellied black snakes are beautiful. Another live-bearing snake, like the tiger snake, like the copperhead. They all have live young. And they all are venomous and dangerous. Now, red-bellied black snake, while it hasn't killed anybody, it does have a very necrotic venom. So if you get bitten by it, like my friend did, yeah, you just got to get yourself to hospital, because the necrosis red-bellied black snake is really painful. They are probably one of the most painful snakes to get bitten by. Like if you get bitten by a death adder, there's no pain. The venom is pure. All you get is death. These red-bellied black snakes will make you suffer. Okay. Okay, here we go. We got blue tongue lizards. That's another animal that we get on the Mornington Peninsula. We get both the types of blue tongue lizards. We get blotched blue tongues, and we get the common blue tongues or the striped blue tongues, eastern blue tongues. People tell me that every time I go, well, quite often I go out to catch a snake, and people say, oh, I've got blue tongues. I don't have any snakes, but here we have a blue tongue here and a tiger snake here, and they've both been sharing this set of steps up to the tennis court for probably about ever since the court went in, I suppose. They've been there. They've been getting spotted there for ages. So I always thought this is a really cute photo. You can see the little bluey there. You can see the snake there, but it's not always the way, because snakes do like eating blue tongues. Okay, so they are a good easy feed for a blue tongue, and we can pretty much expect, if there's blue tongues around, you will have snakes around. You know, here's a red-bellied black snake eating a little baby blue tongue. This is your common blue tongue. Okay, so you can see the difference. It's got stripes. You can see the stripes down there. And this is the blotched blue tongue. It's got like spots or blotches. A lot of people talk to me. They say, "Oh, what am I going to do? I want to keep my dog safe." So I've got a few hints and tips. Apart from training the dog, you can go and get the snake avoidance training, where they usually where a trainer will come along and you'll bring a snake to your house, and sometimes a shock collar or a clicker. It depends on how smart your dog is, and he'll train the snake to keep away from the dog. So when in effect the dog will be an asset. It won't be just a shitting eating machine. You'll be able to. Your dog will come up to you when it smells a snake, and he'll sit beside you, so you'll know there's a snake around. I've also found these. This is a great idea too. You half submerge a pipe or a hollow log into the ground, and then the snake can come, or the blue tongue in this case, can hide in that. These escape pods have been used all over the place, and you can come home from work and the dog will be barking at the end of the pipe instead of convulsing in the middle of the backyard. So it's no doubt it's saved a few animals. So you run these escape pods along your fence line, and it depends on your property, I suppose, but I go to a lot of rural type properties and horsey properties, so these things are really handy if the snakes are going to come into your property and then get chased by the dog. And whenever a dog chases a snake, it's usually ends up bad for both of them. So what was it? Yeah, there was a couple of other snakes that we also get on the Mornington Peninsula. Sorry, I'm chopping and changing because, hey, it's my first time. Anyway, so this is the small-eyed snake, grows to about maybe 2 foot, and it's found under logs, under rocks, and that's one of the other species we find. It only grows to about 2 foot. It's nocturnal, and it's fossorial. Fossorial means it sort of lives underground, so you hardly ever see them. I get called out to maybe half a dozen of them each year. And the other small snake that we get, the venom of these snakes is the same as a tiger snake. So ideally don't get bitten, even though they are tiny and their venom glands are tiny and their teeth are tiny. So a bite, all snake bites have to be treated seriously anyway. So if you get bitten by any snake in Victoria, press a bandage and off to hospital. Okay, this is another one. Okay, this is the white lip snake. We get lots of white lip snakes here. People kill them thinking they're brown snakes. They also grow to maybe 2 foot, 60 centimeters. So very common from all the way from Frankston up to Portsea and out to Hastings as well. Same as the small-eyed snakes. They're live bearers and very inoffensive. The venom of this snake is like a bee sting. So these are considered not dangerous, these white lip snakes. But like I said, I've got to tell you, if you get bitten by a snake, you do the right thing and you get yourself to a hospital. Okay, people kill these snakes all the time. So we got to. My job is to try to stop people killing snakes. You're not allowed to. There's the I'm just putting this up as a thing. There is a penalty for killing or taking or destroying protected wildlife, and if you've got a license like I have, you can euthanize reptiles. But if you haven't, it's against the law, and you can get yourself into lots of trouble. Also, it's illegal. And going back to the myths and the misconceptions, it said there was a bit there that said, "Can a snake survive till after sunset?" So after it's had its head cut off. But the thing is, with a snake, when you cut its head off, that head stays alive for maybe 15 minutes, and she's watching you as you put her body in the rubbish bin, and she's watching when you bend down and pick her up. And quite a few people get actually bitten when they bend down to pick up that severed head. So it doesn't cause an instant death. Cutting the head off a snake is not instant, and is now classed as animal cruelty because of the amount of time. And the further back you cut the snake, if you're a snake killer, if you cut a snake in half, that snake will live for maybe 24 hours. So and like I'm not going to judge anybody if they kill a snake, but bloody hell, you've got to even a lowly snake deserves a quick and humane death, surely, because they don't deserve to die like that. Okay, and here's the thing saying, look, there's this is about the animal cruelty. Okay, so in Victoria, what do we got? If you're charged with animal cruelty, there's a big fine, and I'm trying to make it work for animals. Hey guys, are you getting bored of me yet? I don't know. I can't gauge your reaction. So this is so much different to doing a talk to a room full of people where people can either heckle me or they can butt in, they can ask me questions.
No, it's very interesting, Barry.
Keep going.
Wow.
We love it.
Oh, wow, cool. Okay, really? Am I talking too fast? I don't know.
No, you're fine.
Okay. This is what people are asking me now. Are we there yet? Get him off. But I haven't even started. Okay, I've got heaps to go. Okay, so people always ask me, how do I stop a snake from coming onto my property? Well, shit. How do you stop a snake from coming on your property? Well, at Botanic Ridge, they've got this fantastic. Obviously, at Botanic Ridge, they've got the golf course, and they've built these fences that are back onto all the houses, and they're supposed to be snake-proof fences, but they're not. The tiger snakes go over the top of those fences. They can climb. The tiger snakes are fabulous climbers. I quite often find them in trees, in birds' nests, because they eat lots of baby birds. So the snake-proof mesh, that can only really, unless it's cantilevered, unless it goes out like that on the side, so the snake can climb up and then fall over. Unless there's no trees coming over the top of the snake, over the top of the fence, that is, the snake can climb the tree and drop into your yard. Well, if you get a snake in your yard, it's going to be trapped in there. So the snake-proof fence is going to keep it in there. So you're going to have a snake in your yard. You're going to have a happy puppy dog that's going to want to play with it, or you might have kids in the yard. So the snake is not going to be able to escape from these things. So I'll get on this style of fence later, but these are the obvious things. Keep the grass short, pick up the rubbish, don't leave the pets' foods bowls out because they attract the rodents. You've got to try to get on top of the rodents. Wood poles and rocks and things away from the house. And just try not to give the snake anywhere to hide. Agapanthus, or the Portsea rose, is one of the most snake-friendly weeds that we have on the Mornington Peninsula. The snake can go into the roots of the agapanthus, and it can spend the winter there, and they can breed in there, and they can have their babies down in the roots of the agapanthus. Then they come back out in the summer, and they can go back in there when it's really hot because the Aggies are really cool, and when it's really cold, the temperature can stay the same in the root system underneath. Aggies are a nightmare for a snake catcher, as are the Lamandra, because they're so spiky. So and they're everywhere. All the council gardens seem to be full of Lamandra, this spiky grass bush pappers type of thing. It's horrible to catch a snake in. And yeah, and aviaries and chook runs. Yeah, well, chook runs chooks don't attract the snakes, but they do attract the rodents. So if you can feed the chooks so their feed isn't dropping on the ground, like use automatic feeders, that will lessen the rodents, and that will lessen the attraction for the snakes, I suppose. And don't fall for these. These are ridiculously, they're rubbish. They do not work, and I quite often find snakes wrapped around them because they vibrate a little bit, and that's all they do. And they make a beeping noise to keep us happy because the snake can't hear that beeping noise. So these things are a scam, and the vibrations, if anything, they don't repel the snake, they actually attract the snake. I'm thinking of incorporating them into my snake catching kit because of the way they work. They vibrate, and the vibrations well, it's my theory anyway, the vibrations resemble a mouse or a lizard digging in the ground. So they've got that little vibration happening. Of course, it's going to pique the snake's interest, and the snake is going to say, hey, what's going on over here? And it attracts them. And this is a brown tree snake up in Queensland. A friend of mine, Greg Calvert, took that photo, and that's how the snake was when he got there. It was sitting on top of this thing, and the thing was vibrating. Back to the snake fence. This is what I meant about the cantilevered snake fences. You've got this little bit here that sticks out. That's going to stop the snake from coming up and getting over the top of the fence. If it comes up at an angle like that, it's even, and the snake is on this side, the snake is never going to be able to get up and over that. Using shade cloth and stuff like that is really good because but it has to be sunk into the ground, and it has to be mouse proof because anywhere a mouse can go, a snake can go. Anyway, that's the snake fence. If you want to go there, don't fall for the rodent proof mesh because the scales of the snake, the tiger snake, actually can hook into that, and it can help it to climb. I've seen tiger snakes climbing a brick wall. So yeah, I've got no faith in them at all. And considering the amount of call outs I get for Botanic Ridge to catch the snake that is in behind the snake proof fence. Yeah. Okay, so what do I got next? Snake bites on the Mornington Peninsula. Well, we don't get that many really. There is a few. Well, there actually is no brown snake bites on the Mornington Peninsula. The only snakes that have bitten anybody on the Mornington Peninsula has been tiger snakes. This is the Australian snakes involved in fatalities. Eastern brown snake, most dangerous snake in Australia because it's everywhere. It's found in all states except for Tasmania. And the tiger snake, which is it's found in Victoria and New South Wales, and they killed a lot of people in the early days, and people killed a lot of snakes. Most common cause of snake bite, well, people stepping on them. That's the most common cause of snake bite. We live in Australia. Why would you walk around at night or not try to pay attention to the way your feet are covered? Because not only snakes can get you, there's bull ants, there's spiders, there's all other sorts of critters that can hurt your feet. There's broken bottles. And the second most popular way to get bitten by a snake is to try to kill it. So that sort of says something. I suppose one of the most important things I've got to cover here is what to do when you get bitten by a snake, if you get bitten by a snake. In case of a snake bite, medical assistance, do not wash the bite area because actually, I'll start again. When you get bitten by a snake, the first thing you do is apply the pressure bandage. If you haven't got a pressure bandage handy, and everybody should have a pressure bandage handy, just rip up a sheet or rip up your shirt and start wrapping that around the bite area and up your arm or up your leg as far as you can go. And and then you stay perfectly still. You ring the ambulance, and the ambulance will come to you. If you move around too much, you're going to get that venom pumping through your system. It's going to and it's going to speed up the process of their venomation. If you stay perfectly still, and you've applied the pressure bandage, you've given yourself hours and hours of time. You can wait there in comfort for the ambulance to get there. You won't feel any effects of the venom until after your pressure bandage has been taken off. And you will, ideally, you want to splint the limb or splint where it's been bitten to try to restrict the movement. And yeah, if you get bitten down in the back paddock, do not try to get back to the tractor. Do not try to get back up the hill to get help. You have to stay perfectly still. So the idea is you stay still and use your mobile phone to get help to come to you. Because the quieter you are and the stiller you are, the slower your heart rate goes, and the slower the venom is going to go through your system. I've got a couple of Koori friends who have told me that when they get bitten in the outback, they go and sit under a tree and just lie there. They've got no other choice, really. If they get bitten by a western brown snake, they know that they have to stay perfectly still. They'll try to sleep, and that slows down the process of the venom. I don't know how true it is. I don't know how many of them actually wake up after that, but well, there you go. Okay. Applying the pressure bandage. Well, okay. Fang marks. Okay. Start at the foot, work your way up, and then work your way down, and then splint it, and just stay perfectly still. And if you're out in the bush, or if you're out in your garden, even, you got to be aware that snakes are around in the summer, and in the spring, and in the autumn as well too. So you have to be aware. You have to wear the right clothes. Okay, so if you're gardening, you want to be wearing long baggy pants. Australian snakes have got tiny little teeth, and they're not like the vipers over in America and Asia. The teeth are tiny, so if you're wearing a pair of tough long pants, the snakes aren't going to be able to get through that. If you've got boots on, they're certainly not going to be able to get through your boots. And if you wanted to be extra sure, you could buy a pair of gaiters, but not the American ones. You don't need the American ones, which are like about $200 a pair. All you need is weather gaiters, like snow gaiters, and that will deflect the snake's bite. And obviously gloves if you're working in the garden. And if you're working in the garden and if you're using bird netting, you have to be aware, because snakes often get tangled up in the bird netting. So you have to be careful that you don't come across one of these guys, because when they're tangled up in that bird netting, they are super dangerous, and they are, because they're trapped, and the bird netting goes underneath the scales, so they're also in pain. And every year I have to come out and cut, like, I don't know, dozens of snakes out of bird netting. And not only snakes, we get other animals too that are stuck. We can get a wildlife friendly bird netting now, which is probably the better thing, but yeah. So not the snakes, we get the stumpy tails, the blue tongues, the bats, the parrots, and all sorts of other things. It's just a man-made trap, really, for snakes. And unfortunately, it's a long and slow death for any animal that gets stuck in it. And also, speaking of man-made rubbish, well, we got these every year. I get called out to maybe 10 canned snakes, which I call canned snakes, which they've poked their head into a beer can or a Coke can. I don't know why they do it. Maybe there's ants in there. Well, I actually got one out of a beer can, and there was a skink in there. So maybe he just followed the skinking there, because the skinks are attracted to sugary smells and flavors, and could have been in there catching ants, and then that brought the snake in. But we go out to these guys all the time. So if you crush your cans, well, we don't have to worry about that. Sticky tape, that's another one, and sticky traps as well. This is a copperhead that I got in the factory a while ago. I used I cut the tape off, and then I used cooking oil to get the rest of the glue off. Cooking oil dissolves glue. So if you find a snake that's trapped in sticky tape, or if you find a snake that's trapped on a glue trap, you would want to hit it, have a can of like vegetable oil, and spray that, and that will help dissolve the glue, and you'll be able to rescue the animal. Glue traps and rodent sticky traps are probably one of the most cruelest inventions around at the moment, because the death is slow and it's painful. Well, like I've seen mice and rats break their own bones to try to get off the sticky traps, and yeah, unfortunately the owl didn't make it either. If you want to really look after yourself and keep the snakes away, you really got to attract the birds. The birds are your frontline defense. Birds will sit on the roofs, on the eaves of your house, and they'll be picking off all the baby snakes as they show up. Kookaburras, egrets, ibis, hawks, and ravens, they're the best, and magpies, even seagulls will take baby snakes. Like I said, spaghetti for a bird. And they'll, yeah, they're our front line of defense. They are the best. Okay. Yes. And okay, so that's the photo of my wife. We went to, when we go on holidays, and they're all wildlife based holidays. So this is over in Indonesia, and we thought we'll go around and muck around with king cobras. So this is the most dangerous creature in the world, holding a king cobra. Sorry. Anyway. Okay, so if we can just teach our kids to respect the snake, as opposed to teach the kids to killing the snake, then I think we're off to a good start. Our kids won't get bitten if they respect the snake. Our kids will you know, they'll learn. Lots of people want to teach their kids to be scared of snakes. It's not really necessary. It's all about teaching them to respect them, I think. That's just my theory anyway. But in saying that, you certainly have to watch the kids around the snakes, because you certainly don't want them eating them. I think, oh, bloody hell, we've still got 15 minutes to go, but I think if anybody wants to ask me any questions or have a snack or something, I think now would be the time to do it. So I'm Barry Goldsmith, Snake Catcher Victoria, and you can call me anytime you want. If you need advice, or if you need a snake caught, you just call me. My number is well, we'll put my number up later, and yeah, okay, question time, guys.
Thanks so much, Barry. That was great. Love some of those slides as well.
First time.
Well done. You survived. You were so worried, and you did so well.
Oh, shit myself. Oh, sorry, we're still on, aren't we? Yeah.
Oh, love it. Okay, so if anyone's, I have got a couple of questions in the chat. We'll get those ones, and then if anyone else has got any questions, just feel free to unmute yourself and ask. The first one was, where did it go? Do guinea fowl keep snakes away?
They certainly do. They deter snakes. You need a flock of guinea fowl. You can't just have one bird there. They work as a team. So if you've got, like, it depends on how big your property, but you know, guinea fowl do have a couple of drawbacks. They're messy and they are noisy. They make the most horrible noise, and lots of people don't like that. But as far as a snake deterrent, they are fantastic. But they have to have that flock mentality going.
There you go. So we've also got, what was the snake you mentioned that hides under the logs before the white-lipped snake?
Small-eyed snake. Did I mention his name or not?
Yeah, no, you did. They just missed the name, but I couldn't remember it either. Yeah. So what was it?
A small-eyed snake.
Small-eyed snake. That was the little black ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, Drysdalia coronoides is the Latin name for it, if they want to look it up. But small-eyed snake. They're fairly common, but rarely seen.
There you go. Okay, so we've suddenly got a big increase in ravens around our area. Does that mean there's probably baby snakes hatching?
No, it just means there's baby ravens hatching.
Just a coincidence.
No, ravens are fantastic. If it wasn't for a raven, I'd be saying right now. I got a fledgling, like a baby raven, straight out of the egg. It had been kicked out of the nest because it had some white feathers on it, and I raised it for maybe about 2 years. Wow. And it just drove me crazy, absolutely nuts. Yeah, it was like having a child with with issues. They're just constantly going, wah, 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 wanting food all day, all night. And it's now living out in the pine tree out in the backyard. And that's like 6 years later.
Wow.
Tookie Boo. If you Google Tookie the Raven, you'll see my raven on Facebook. You'll see it on YouTube as well. I've got the YouTube channel, which is Snakecatcher Victoria, and the Facebook channel, Snakecatcher Victoria Australia. Go and have a laugh. Laugh at my expense. It's good.
And just one last one. Just Steve has just mentioned that he missed the first part of it. So yes, Steve, this has been recorded, and it will be available in the next few days on our YouTube channel. And we're going to send out an email to all the participants, just so you've got all of those details there. The links to watch this again, the links to Barry's YouTube channel for a laugh, and some other details that we'll also have available. So you'll be able to go back over it all. All right, that was everything on the chat. So if anyone has got another question, you're welcome to just unmute yourself and jump in and ask away.
Yeah, go for it.
Hi, Barry.
I love question time. Yeah, hey, Luke.
How you going?
Good,
Yeah, my wife and family got a young family. Kids are 4 and 6, and we've just bought a 10 acres out in Tooradin. And I was honestly just wondering if do you do like this sort of introductory sessions at home? Do you come to people's properties and talk to the kids and talk to us as well? Yeah,
of course I can. I do property assessments, and if there's kids there when I do the property assessment, then so be it. I'll give a talk to the kids as well. I just love to be able to teach people. I just like to create the awareness and to make people realize that the snakes aren't out to get us. Yeah, no, Tooradin's not too far from me. So, and you do have lots of copperheads in Tooradin. I go there all the time, but it's mostly for copperheads. Very rarely do I go there for tiger snakes, but I know they're out there.
Yeah, we live right next to a nature reserve. So within a 50-meter walk down this nature reserve, I saw 2 copperheads. I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah.
And but they were both scared of us and turned straight around and went back into the bush. So it was just great, but the kids were like, oh, geez, where have we moved to? So it's just good, for a bit of respect and awareness.
I go to Brighton and St Kilda and Swanson Street for snakes. So it doesn't matter where you live. They are in Australia. You're never more than a quarter of a kilometre from a snake.
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you are.
No, thank you, Barry. That's
some
great.
food for thought. But in Tooradin is beautiful.
Well, we're in Botanic Ridge at the moment. You did mention that earlier. We have a lot of snakes in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before the houses went up at Botanic Ridge, you have 150 years of snake catchers releasing snakes into that swampland.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's got something to do with it, I imagine.
Gosh.
It's a paradise for snake catchers.
Barry,
yes.
you talked about dogs and snakes, but we have a couple of cats, and I wonder if you have any remarks about cats.
Well, where do you live?
We live in Sandhurst, close to Frankston.
Do you have a cat curfew there?
I think there is a curfew, yeah.
Well, if the cat's outside, it's fair game, really. Cats won't get killed by the snake, but the cat will get killed by cars and dogs and people who don't like cats, and they catch diseases and they kill wildlife, and also they'll bring the snake into your house. Like maybe 10 times a year, I get called out to a snake that has been brought into the house by the cat. And once the cat has brought a snake into the house, thinking that it's doing the right thing, the snake is injured. So we have a dangerous situation. We have a snake that is injured, is confined, is trapped inside a house. And this is a serious thing. The best thing I can say about cats is to get a cat run and don't let the cat roam. And then the cat won't bring the snake in the house. The cat won't get killed by a dog, won't get killed by the fox, and you won't get run over by the car. And I love cats, but I just hate because I rescue wildlife. I see the damage that they do all the time, and I'm probably coming across as a bit preachy or judgy, but Yeah, if you want to be a responsible cat owner, you got to keep the bloody thing on your property. Is that
All right.
okay? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
No worries. Cheers. Anybody else?
I've got a couple on the chat here. Where do you take the snakes once you catch them?
Well, legally, I have to take them within. I have to release them within 5 k's of where I catch them. If they're mortally injured or terminally injured, I euthanize them. If they need work from a vet, I'll take them to the vet. But I have to release them within 5 k's of where I catch them. And I've got places on the Mornington Peninsula where I can release them, where they're not going to come into contact with people or pets or dogs or horses or things like that. I've got people on the Mornington Peninsula who've got large properties, and they're in the process of rewilding, which is a new catchphrase now. They're rewilding, so these people understand the importance of the snake in the environment, and they want to restore the balance of the ecosystem, the ecology to their properties, and they know that they cannot do that without having the predator like the snake there, because it's you can't have the balance if you haven't got all the animals there. And these people have brought up old sheep stations and things like that, and they're replanting them and putting dams in and stuff like that, putting wetlands in them. And yeah, I'm welcome to thank God for these people, because I'm welcome to release the snakes there.
That's fantastic. I'd love to do that.
I want to do that too. I want to
Yeah.
buy a big property and fill it full of natural stuff.
Yeah. Okay, Liz has said we are within 300 metres of the beach in Edithvale with a little pond and a weedy rocky block. A curfewed vaccinated cat that's scared of birds. Any thoughts on what type of reptiles we'd attract?
In Edithvale, you will be attracting potentially frogs and lizards. Also, in Edithvale, you will possibly see a copperhead and maybe a tiger snake as well. What was it about the cat?
The cat's scared of birds and vaccinated. So I guess it doesn't spend a lot of time outside, which means that they can potentially have the
Okay, well, if the
reptiles
cat's
coming
inside,
into
he's not going to hurt anything. That's the main thing. As long as when the cat does go outside, it's supervised, because the cat might seem scared of birds to you, but if a snake is just a wiggly piece of string to a cat, and they're certainly not scared of small snakes and things like that.
Very good, thank you. And we've got Alicia walks a lot in the local nature reserves, AJ Langmore, Flora and Fauna. You mentioned the evidence about snakes hearing is mixed. Is there anything you can do to let snakes know you're walking close by?
Yeah, well, basically you stick to the track, really, and they can't hear you, and people like to say, oh, I'm going to stomp my feet and hopefully the snake will hear me coming, or it'll pick up the vibrations, but that all depends on the type of ground you're stomping on, and also it doesn't work. Sometimes the snake will hear you stomping along and it will freeze. It'll freeze in that one position, thinking that maybe this person won't see me, and if I do move, I'm breaking my cover. So the snake is thinking, I don't want to break my cover, so I'm going to freeze here.
Wow, that's really interesting.
And also, when you're stomping your feet and you're holding your head up, you're not really looking at the ground in front of you. If you really are careful, if you're really worried about bumping into a snake, I would use a stick just to part the grass. If you're walking in long grass, just to part it before you get there, and before you put your foot down. So, the snake will see you, you'll see the snake. There's not so much of a surprise, and the snake will have time to dart off, which is what it will do.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyone else got any questions?
Hello, Barry. It's Maureen here.
Hey, Maureen.
Hi. I'd just like to say thanks so much for today and for braving the Zoom problem.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's really good.
It's
it
different.
Was no problem.
It's totally different because I can't see anybody.
Yeah.
I can't have that eye contact with the crowd and all that sort of stuff. So, but I'll get used to it.
Yeah, and also I'm 60, however old, 7, and I've come from a fear-based snake attitude, not deliberately, but that's all I ever knew.
Lots of people.
Having
Yeah.
watched some of your videos and getting myself better educated, I feel much more confident and comfortable if I would see a snake, which I actually did see one the other day.
Yeah.
I think that's really how it works. You know, like if we want to educate the community about how to handle wildlife or how to be with wildlife, then people like yourself have to get, listened to. And also the people listening today, we need to go out and talk to our friends and say, did you know this? And you could do that.
Look,
And
all you have to do if you see a snake is just take 2 steps back.
yeah,
Like I said before, the snake will see your silhouette decreasing and he'll relax. Lots of
Yeah.
people see a snake and they turn and they run and they scream. And I've actually spoken to somebody who turned and ran straight into the clothesline and knocked himself out. He
Yeah.
woke up later. There's no snake around, but he was unconscious from the clothesline.
Yes.
Hmm.
So thank you.
Hey, no worries, Maureen. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just quickly, Barry, we've had a couple of asking just for contact details for you. So obviously you are the local snake, you've got the local listing for the snake.
Yeah.
catchers.
My phone number? My phone number is 0408 067 062. Well, it says on my card that I'm available 24/7, but really only if it's an emergency. Okay, but I am available 24/7 and every day of the year for snake rescue and people rescue. Yeah, so yeah, and
Just
if they want,
want to give that number just one more time.
0408
Yep.
067 062. And also Facebook is Snakecatcher Victoria Australia, and there's a website as well, which is snakecatchervictoria.com.au. All the contact details are there. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll make sure straight away what I'll do after this, because we'll have to put the video together and all of that. There might be a few days before we get the email out. But if you've got access to Facebook, if you return to the event of this talk on Facebook, I'll make sure all of the details are there, to the phone numbers, website, and your Facebook link. Just in the immediate future, because Murphy's Law is that we're all going to walk out over the weekend and see a snake. So,
Probably it's warming up, I think, over the weekend.
Exactly. But rest assured, all of those details will be sent out to everyone as well with the follow-up email.
Beautiful, lovely.
Any more questions?
Come on, more questions, guys. Let's hear it.
Look, Barry, I do have one more question. This is Luke again.
Yeah.
So you were saying, with the Eastern Browns and even Copperheads, how do you distinguish the difference between them when there's so many different varieties of colours? It's even there was I think it was an Eastern Brown it was black with a red belly, but then a red belly black snake also looks the same as that. Like, how did you even know that?
You don't, mate. You don't. You just call somebody who knows. Like for me, it comes naturally. I can tell an Eastern Brown from a Copperhead and a black snake, and just by the body shape, really, and the scales and the size of the head, and there's all these little different subtle differences in between them, which the layman is not really going to see. What do you do, Luke? What do you do for a job? I'm
actually a refrigeration mechanic. So
you know a whole lot of stuff that I had no idea. I've got no idea about refrigeration. I'm a snake catcher, so these little differences in between the species are, obviously you can't tell from the color, and you can't tell from the pattern, unless it's a black snake. A black snake is fairly easy. They're the ones that sort of maintain their mane. They're nearly always a glossy, shiny black on top with a red or pink side scales. But a Copperhead can be really, really dark black or dark brown on top, and have the same sort of the colouring as a black snake. But there is little differences.
Yeah,
Scalation is the scales on the head, the colour of the eyes, and there's different things that you can use to tell the different species apart.
Okay, because I've joined a Facebook group that's called Fast Snake Identifier, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm on that.
And that's really good. Yeah, so people take photos of the snakes and then ask for authorized ideas to actually say what type of snakes they are. And it's really, really good, but I'm still having trouble working out what they are, you know, based on the shape of the scales and, like you said, the color of the eyes and the shape of the head.
Just take it for granted that if you see a snake and you live in Victoria, it's venomous. Okay, so
Yeah.
there is no non-venomous snakes living in our area. You know, they're all venomous. Even the white lip snake, which is only like a bee sting, or the small-eyed snake. We don't get any carpet snakes in our area. We do get carpet snakes in Victoria, but not on the Mornington Peninsula. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
No, that's good to know.
It is. Yeah, just treat all snakes the same. Treat all snake bites the same. You get bitten by a snake, put that pressure bandage on, and get to a medical. Get some medical
Thank you very
attention.
much, Barry. No, this has been fantastic.
No worries.
And just as an extra tidbit, you can actually buy set snake pressure bandage kits like you can your first aid kit.
Yeah, for sure. Call
They're
me.
great.
I've got access to snake bite kits. If anybody wants a snake bite kit, I can organise that for them as well. Well, my friend supplies snake bite kits to all over Australia.
Fantastic. Yeah, they're really handy to put on your belt when you go on walking. And
But yeah, have them in the car. You have them strapped to a tree if you're spending a lot of time around the swimming pool or something like that. You know, if it's away from the house, at least you've got that pressure bandage there. Yeah.
I've just popped in the chat your details and your Facebook handle and website as well there. So
Okay. Oh, look at that. There's a chat button there. I didn't even know that.
Magic little chat button.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, there we are. Snakeheads of Victoria. Lovely. .com.au. Sweet. Okay, a bit of blatant self-promotion. Why not?
Absolutely. Well, if you can't do it now, Baz, when can you?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, now's the time.
Exactly.
Well,
Everyone got a huge amount out of it, Barry. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, and YouTube.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, if everyone is, but then we've also just popped in, Liz just shared the YouTube link as well. So that's in the chat also. So if you wanted to grab any of those details out of the chat, do so now. And we'll start to wrap up and let Baz go look at with some snakes.
Yeah, the YouTube channel is fun. My wife has been following me around for probably 35 years with a video camera. Okay, so we have thousands of videos on that YouTube channel, and it's all basically just of me falling over and being an idiot and doing stupid things with snakes. So I'm sure you'll get a laugh out of it. It's really amusing for me anyway.
That's fantastic. All right, well, thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate you joining and hope everyone got something out of it. And once again, thank you so much, Barry.
Lovely. I loved it. It's been great. Yeah, a good experience. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Just stop.